When your care provider says you've been in labor for 12 hours and there's no baby and you don't seem to be dilating, so we should probably do a C-section. No. In fact, this is so prevalent that in 50 Shades Freed, I read the end of the book. It's not in the movie, but it's in the book. And I have a theory that the author may have been processing something, or maybe it was just so common that she just thought, oh, well, I'll just put this in. But it wasn't even necessary. It didn't really tie into anything. Like saying that she had almost died in childbirth because she was having this, she was having this long labor. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, she probably almost died on the operating table because C-sections are major abdominal surgery. So maybe if they'd left her alone, it wouldn't have happened. But anyway, it's a fictional character, but it speaks to our birth culture. And you can also see this on TV where there are characters who are having a long labor. In fact, I believe it was also in What to Expect When You're Expecting, the movie, when Elizabeth Banks' character, who was natural birth mama, getting all excited, and then she gets on her back in the bed and her labor is just so intense that she begs for the epidural, and then things happen and she has to go in for a C-section. And it's like the message of don't plan natural birth because it's probably not going to happen. Like, this is how ingrained in the culture it is for failure to progress, as if it's an actual thing. I'm just going to tell you what a lot of birth workers have said over the years. Failure to progress is failure to wait. So if you're not dilating at the level that your care provider wants you to, you do not actually need to have Pitocin and you do not need to have a C-section. It's only if you are exhausted and you're thinking, you know what, I just want this over with and I'm choosing this as the best option for me, that's different. But somebody else saying that you're not going into labor at the right level for their timeline, I'm just going to tell you that the timeline was arbitrary. It was made up. Friedman's curve, which is what it's based on, is made up. It is made up by some man named Friedman who decided to study women in the hospital. And all of these women, if they didn't dilate 1 centimeter per hour, he thought that that was a problem. However, all of these women were also on Pitocin. So Pitocin contractions, again, are not allowing for the biofeedback for the baby and can put the baby in distress. In fact, there's something called pit to distress. So your care provider might also pit to distress you, then say you're failing to progress and your baby is in distress and we have to do a C-section. This is also why I say Pitocin is a huge natural birth trap, because the second you have Pitocin, your labor is hijacked. And as one of my friends has said, like, she actually said this herself, it's like if you put a brick on a gas pedal of a car with no steering wheel and the car just drives and drives and drives, and it's going to smash right into a brick wall. It's not going to go where it needs to go. It might get to its destination, but it's like whoosh, crash. There's no brake. Like, you've got a brick on the gas pedal. There's no brake and there is no steering wheel. So like you're basically just, it's not going to work for you. Pitocin is not the same thing as oxytocin. In fact, I get into arguments with people on social media about this, where someone will come in, just like some troll, and they will say, well, you know, Pitocin is like, it's the same thing as oxytocin. Like, no, it is not. And you must be one of those medical professionals that seems to understand that Pitocin is like this miracle drug that will speed things up, but it's not the same thing as our hormones, and you have never seen a physiological birth. So I don't trust your judgment, because moms who have experienced both physiological birth and Pitocin, they know. And you probably know as well, if you've experienced it, is not the same thing. So failure to progress is a huge, huge cesarean trap. And it is one of the most common ones when you're being induced, when you're having Pitocin. If you are being induced and you have chosen induction, you need to be aware that if things go in a certain direction, the baby gets into distress because they keep putting the Pitocin up, it's not a good idea. So I do have suggestions that I tell my clients when we create our induction plan, and I'm happy to share that with you as well. You can always send me a message, Carly@empoweringmomsbirth.com.